Welcome to the Camnet Breakfast, today 24th November 2021. I'm your usual host, Patrick Soko, the only one mandated to boast of loving you the most, our dear viewers, for your dedication and contribution to pertinent matters affecting our nation. Well, on the program today, we have a number of activities lined up for you, so stay tuned to Camnet TV as we get to interact. We are going to open the phone lines so that you can also share with us your views. And just talking about participation, we want you to also add on to the topic of discussion, the participation of Zambians in the diaspora, or rather Africans in the diaspora, in as far as the COVID-19 is concerned, is part of our discussion. We are going to also host Mutotwe Kafwaya, the Lunte constituency member of parliament, later on the program. Your contribution will be very varied, our dear viewers. And just now, we'll go straight into Morning Boost, and we'll be back shortly with our interview.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Boost. I'm sure you've been following our programs and not just watching but also trying to exercise. So welcome, and today we're going to be working on the abs. All right, let's go. Warm up. Let's go. Same jumping jacks. Instead of going all the way up, this time here we go. That's your warm-up today. Go. So that's a 1 minute warm up. Let's do some abs workout now. Okay, as you can see, I came with a bottle of water. We're gonna do some Russian twist. There you go. Get a bottle, put it down there. If you have a dumbbell, good for you. I'm gonna sit here, working on the abs. Lean back a bit. There you go. 1. 7. 10. Okay, go to the second one. We're going to come back to this one. Here we go. Lie down. That was 10. I'm going to do another 10. Let's go. That's 10. Bring back the bottle. Let's go. 10. Eight and 9. 10. Go down. Let's go. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the set, which is 40. If you want after that, you can take a break. Let's do another one now. Still on the abs. Okay. I'm gonna be now sliding on the sides. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 15-second break, then you go back to the workout again. Another 10. Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
How many?
8, 9.
10 for those that are watching on Facebook. So that's 20. Here we go now. Elbow to knee crunches. And then we start doing it. Okay.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Change.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. So you've done your abs workout for today. And we do that again. And it's going to work out fantastic for you. Let's cool down. I only have seconds to my 5 minutes now. And very soon I'll be signing out. So that's how you do your abs workout. We did 3, if you noticed. So let's go march and start cooling down. March, march, march. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I've enjoyed my session with you. Looking forward to train with you again. Let's go.
Welcome back. Well, that was a morning boost on Camnet. Well, you can catch morning boost every day. You saw that you can take a little bit of time to flex your muscles there. But now we'll go straight into our first interview of the Camnet breakfast, so that we get to understand what Zambians and Africans in general in the diaspora, in Canada to be specific, are doing about the COVID-19 response. And today I'm hosting Dr. David Gordon Kazira, based in Canada, where we are going to talk about the COVID-19 consignment coming into Zambia, which they have managed to put together to ensure that they complement Zambia's efforts in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Kazira, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you very much, Patrick. It's a pleasure to be here.
We thank you that you could make it. We understand there is a time difference between Zambia and Canada, and we had to make you wait. Oh.
Exactly. I'm trying to look as though I've just woken up from sleep in the morning, but it's actually early morning, just after midnight here. You know, there's no time that's too late to do something like a wonderful, effort to inform our people back home. So it's nice to be here.
Doc, I'll give you some time to introduce yourself. Just a brief professional background of yourself. Who is Dr. Kazira? For most of the people who might be wondering whom I'm talking to, is actually a Zambian, but I'll give him an opportunity to express himself.
Yes, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, my name is David Kazira, full-fledged Zambian. Born and bred in Zambia. As a matter of fact, I was born in Kasempa, Northwestern Province, and of parents who are both of the heritage of Kaonde. And I went to school in Zambia. Those days during the Kaunda era, parents were transferred from place to place. So I literally grew up in various parts of the country, including the Eastern Province, Central, Copperbelt, and Lusaka. And so my overall view of the country was formed from that sort of interaction around the country. So I can consider myself a true Zambian who's very well adjusted. And yes, I went to the University of, first to St. Paul's Secondary School, from Jacaranda Primary School in Lusaka, and then after that, University of Zambia, where I studied natural sciences, went into medicine and completed my training in medicine in '91. And soon after internship, I had the privilege of going to South Africa and specializing there, doing my residency. I got the fellowship of the College of Physicians of South Africa in '98. Was probably one of the first few Zambians who got that at that time in internal medicine. And then I proceeded to study cardiology as a subspecialty and worked briefly in Pietermaritzburg before I immigrated to Canada in 2001. So I've been in Canada 20 years now and counting. So that's sort of my brief professional background.
Interesting, Doc. Now, we want to understand there is a consignment coming to Zambia worth $300,000 of medical equipment. Tell us more about that.
Yes, Patrick. This came as a result of what was happening in Zambia during the third wave of COVID-19. As you recall, the first wave did not touch Zambia much at all, and we were really glad that that happened. And then second wave also not bad, but the third one really hit our country bad, and those of us in the diaspora were constantly seeing what was happening. Our own relatives were falling sick. And I think for me, that what broke the camel's back was when the two young interns actually passed away from COVID. That just broke my heart. But at that point where we as the diaspora, we organized ourselves. We already have two organizations that I want to talk about. The first one is GAZA, Global Alliance of Zambian Healthcare Professionals. So this is an organization I helped found, and we registered as a 501c3, that's nonprofit in Delaware in the US. So this is basically Zambian healthcare professionals coming together in the diaspora saying, look, we need to be organized. We need to build a state-of-the-art center in Zambia so that our people can start having high-quality healthcare. So when the COVID-19 hit, GAZAP stepped up and did a fundraiser, which resulted in some money, about 15,000, and they, using our links in the UK, they were able to deliver some shipment of equipment and PPEs, which you probably saw it in the press. They presented to the Permanent Secretary. But while that was going on, I felt that that was not going to be enough, because we knew that the government was trying their best, but everything that was happening wasn't enough. And we were particularly worried that if healthcare workers cannot be protected adequately, then we are doomed. So I'm also the global director for African Diaspora Development Institute, an institute that was formed by a former ambassador, of African Union ambassador to the United States, Dr. Arikana Chambori Kwao. So in that capacity, I approached her and said, Ambassador, my country is bleeding. Can we do something? And she just jumped on it and said, yes, let's raise funds and send a shipment, 40-ton shipment of PPEs and other medical equipment to Zambia. And so we really got started working on that. And so that's the shipment we're now talking about. That's coming out of Atlanta, USA, and should be delivered in Zambia soon. It's arriving in Dar es Salaam by the 8th of December.
Interesting. Well, talking about, in fact, that you highlighted the fact that the death of two interns actually motivated you to undertake that gesture. Doc, I also want to bring to your attention that the local press here has been interacting with the Zambia Medical Association. They held a press briefing just 2 days ago where they highlighted that actually since January, about 27 doctors have died from COVID-19. But how this response, your donation help towards especially protecting health practitioners, because they are frontline workers and are key towards the fight of the fight against the COVID-19, considering that we are anticipating the fourth wave here in Zambia?
Well, absolutely. First of all, my condolences to the 27 heroes that died in the line of duty. I mean, this shouldn't happen. And we know that they died, many of them died because they didn't have adequate PPEs to protect them. There were clear stories of reusing disposable masks and stuff like that just because of the shortage. So this 40-ton shipment actually contains PPEs. We have thousands of masks, including N95 masks. If you know anything about these masks, these are the most efficient masks. They're the most protective. So we have N95s, we have in the thousands. We have gowns in the thousands. And we have tons of other equipment like gloves, again in the thousands in that shipment. Mind you, the shipment is estimated to weigh about 6,986 kilograms. It's a 40-ton. So within that, we also made it a point that apart from sending PPEs, Zambia needs equipment. So we paid extra to sponsor this shipment by adding equipment. So you'll be surprised if I showed you the list. Things like IV lines, even a ventilator, CPAP machines, masks, tracheostomy tubes, and beds, chairs, and shelves. And so it's a whole range or assortment of equipment. So to answer your question, for sure, I think this will help. It may not be adequate, but at least it will be a contribution from us to our colleagues on the ground. And as you said, with the fourth wave on the way, we need every concerted effort from everyone. And I must say that this consignment was initiated by ADDI, African Diaspora Development Institute, in conjunction with Gaza. And so that just shows the unity that is being formed in the diaspora right now. We are living in exciting times. I've never, in my years of being in diaspora, seen such camaraderie coming together as we are seeing now. So I think Zambia should expect more from its diaspora.
Who is
this is just one of the few steps.
Doc, who is the consignee or the recipient to this the container that is coming into the country? Whom have you entrusted with receiving this these important equipment that are key in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic?
Very good question. I think that's an important one. Dhaka would be the best place to look at, and so UTH specifically. And so the CEO or superintendent for UTH, senior superintendent, Dr. Charles Muntemba, is the consignee who's receiving on behalf of the Zambian people, on behalf of the Zambian government. And so he's the consignee, and he's coordinating with the Ministry of Health to make sure this is delivered. So the way it's arranged is that the shipment from California, actually, to Dar es Salaam is all paid for. But it's Zambia's responsibility to send trucks or whatever transportation to bring that shipment into Lusaka and then send the container back to the port, and then it goes back. Once that's done, Zambia takes over, then it's in safe hands. And so we thought it was important to come out to the press to share what we're doing. And I think in this era of accountability, it's important that the citizens know what's coming so that they can also be aware and be alert. We don't want to have any, where the equipment is found in doctors' offices. We want this equipment to be used at UTH, but also peripheral hospitals. If UTH satisfies what they need, they can share it with other smaller hospitals. That's what we are hoping to see.
Interesting to hear that, Doc. Now, we also want to find out, in Zambia, we have also been talking about, you mentioned it a little bit, we have been talking about issues of accountability. We have seen institutions like Transparency International Zambia coming on board, launching projects to hold the Ministry of Health accountable, and the media also has been playing that role effectively, considering that the previous response towards the COVID-19 was also marred with irregularities, so to say, because the issue of accountability was not prominent. But now we are seeing that accountability has also been at the center of the new administration that is in place. So we want to just to get your emphasis on the need for accountability to ensure that the equipment reach the intended beneficiaries, as well as help the country mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you are called the fourth estate for a reason, because you are the eyes and the voice for the people. So I'm glad that you have mentioned that the issue of accountability and how all of us need to hold those who have been elected into office and are working on behalf of the people to do what is the right thing. So certainly for us as donors, it's very important that the equipment that is brought is working to the intended purpose, for the intended purpose. And as you know, that if there's good stewardship of that equipment, it will encourage more donations to come in future. And also it will help the people benefit maximally from it. May I mention at this point that this particular program, the organization that is actually responsible for collecting all this equipment is called MedShare. And they have a program of providing biomedical engineering and technical support so that all the equipment that is given is made to good use. There's training available so that if our technicians in Zambia don't know how to use something, they have access for training remotely, etc. And I'll just give you one statistic before we move on, that 40% of donated medical equipment to Africa, to the developing world, it tends not to be functional in a very short time due to lack of parts or repairs and so on. So this particular organization took it upon themselves to develop a bioengineering team that they would send somebody to come and actually repair some of this work, some of this equipment, so that it works for the people. So I just wanted to add that, but certainly accountability is very, very important to us.
And we want to understand how many African countries are going to benefit from such an initiative. Is it only Zambia, or you are also targeting other countries in Africa?
Wonderful question. As a matter of fact, before we sent this one, Dr. Arikana Chambori Kwao, our CEO and president of ADDI, had a plan to actually be sending shipments of medical equipment using this same program to different parts of the continent of Africa. And but when Zambia got hit, and the privilege that I had as being a global director, we kind of accelerated the whole idea of sending to Zambia quickly. But we also at the same time sent to Zimbabwe. So there's another shipment going to Zimbabwe following the Zambian one, and then another one to Ghana. It's already being put together. So we have already got 3 lined up, and we'll continue to do that as ADDI sponsors. GAZAP as well, when we get a chance to deal with Zambia, we will involve our Zambian diaspora as well.
Interesting. What should we expect? What are some of the activities have you lined up as an association, an organization, and your partners going forward?
To answer that question, as I sit here, I represent 2 organizations, as I told you. On the GAZAP side, that's the Zambian Professionals Association, a lot of exciting things are happening. We are embarking on training our staff in Zambia on CPR, that's cardiopulmonary resuscitation. We found that a lot of people die, both both in the hospitals and in the community, because of lack of resuscitation, lack of knowledge on what to do in an emergency situation. So we have a whole team that's working with their counterparts in Zambia to improve that so that we have a viable resuscitation program. We're also ultimately thinking of building a state-of-the-art center in Zambia so that those diaspora can practice medicine in Zambia the way we practice it where we live. And with the advent of technology such as telehealth, we're hoping that we can tap on that invaluable new tool of telemedicine so that we can even remotely be able to assist our colleagues on the ground where they need, and also exchange knowledge between them and ourselves. We are certainly not thinking that we're coming here as superior or anything like that. We want partnership. We want to work together for the benefit of our people, and primarily because we want to give back to our people. Our people educated us. We've been away. It's time to give back. And then the ADDI has a lot of other programs. For example, I'll be in Ghana in early December. We are launching the Trade Expo in Ghana. We have youth and women empowerment programs. We are planning to build the Wakanda One City in Ghana and all 5 regions, including Zambia and Kenya, and Zambia, Zimbabwe, Kenya, but that's down the line. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. You remember when Kwame Nkrumah, Patrick, do you remember Kwame Nkrumah?
Exactly, yes. But we were young, we just read about him. Because
I used the wrong word.
Exactly. When I was actually looking at the first degree you were getting, I was actually, that's the time I was being born.
I was also born after independence, but certainly in reading about Kwame Nkrumah, he said one thing that always sticks in my head. He says, you're an African, not because you were born in Africa, but because Africa was born in you. So it means wherever Africa's children are, whether in Canada, Norway, or wherever, they remain Africans even if they live there. So we are mobilizing African Americans, African Caribbeans, and everyone. So we come and invest and build the Africa we want. So that's the exciting part for me. So
thank you very much.
Watch the space. You'll see a lot of things happening the next few years.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Well, Doc, we'll seek your concluding remarks.
My concluding remarks are these, that my fellow brothers and sisters, we're living in very trying times of COVID-19, and I'd like to urge you that, one, get vaccinated when the vaccines are available. I've had my 3rd booster shot just a few weeks ago, and look, I'm not looking sick, my DNA isn't changing. So all these conspiracy theories that are discouraging us from taking these vaccines, put them aside. As long as the vaccines are genuine ones, take them. And that's number one. Number two, please, let's observe all the 5 golden rules. Even if you get the vaccine, you are still at risk of passing on that infection around, and others who are not vaccinated may be affected really badly and may die. So that is my plea. And finally, that you should know that us as the diaspora are part of you. You are part of us. Let's work together to build the Zambia we want. And this is just a little bit of our contribution to show that we love you guys, and we're going to continue contributing to the betterment of our society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. David Gordon Kajira, based in Canada. We appreciate for making an appearance on the program.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, our dear viewers, you've been watching the Camnet interview. Now we were talking to Dr. David Gordon Kajira, based in Canada. He's a Zambian, but together with the other Africans in the diaspora, they made a contribution towards the COVID-19. And just now we're going to take a short break. I will be back shortly.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 07:30 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 09:30 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluba with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluba are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Well, I was expecting Isaac to put the lady with a new hairstyle on the screen. Well, but I guess it's fine. Well, welcome to the program, Sharon. I welcome you, whether you like it or not.
It's okay. Thank you so much for having me. And just about now, we go straight into the sports segment with Blessings Chakwila, who is going to just tell us a little bit more of what's happening in the world of sports.
Yeah, interesting. Talking about the world of sport, Manchester United recorded a victory yesterday, and after a series of losses. I think
I've seen a lot of social media buzz with regards to Man U being teased. I don't know much about soccer, but obviously the frenzy was too much.
Exactly.
That I caught up in it.
Exactly.
Well.
I'm even wondering you were able to relate that they have been losing.
Exactly.
And so what we do is that Blessings, the Champions League was on yesterday, and we want to find out what are some of the results regarding the Champions League, the games that were played yesterday.
Thank you, Patrick. So yesterday's games, the results are as follows. We saw Bayern Munich play Dino Kiev and scored by 2-1. We also saw Manchester United play Villarreal and scored 2-0. Chelsea, on the other hand, smashed Juventus, apparently, and scored 4 goals to 0. Barcelona, on the other hand, could not manage to score any goals in yesterday's fixtures against Benfica.
Okay, so you were talking about Benfica there. Interesting. But the match between Chelsea and Juventus, we anticipated that match to be hot because Juventus is a strong competitor, but unfortunately Chelsea was the better side yesterday. And today we have other games that will be played on the UEFA Champions League. But Blessings, coming to local sports, what is expected then as far as the training of referees? Is that still ongoing, or what was where are we?
Yes, Zambia
one
is
of the referees.
I would want to be one of them given the chance, but then Zambia, I mean, FIFA is hosting a trainee with referees, a referee training, whereas we've seen about 30 participants from all over the provinces in Zambia participating in this referee training. We've also seen the first General Secretary, Adrian Kalasha, come on board and say come on board and say this will be a start to potential. We'll see potential whistleblowers in Zambia.
Blessings are very particular with issues to do with gender in every sector. It doesn't matter. So how many females do you have? Have you taken time to look at how many females we have with regards to this training?
Apparently, Sharon, that has been my concern also. I have observed to say in this training, I haven't seen any females whatsoever.
Wow.
So I don't know whether it's that there's another group that's going to come on board and participate in these trainings, or I don't know what FAZ has.
Follow up on that story and give us an update tomorrow. Obviously.
Exactly.
How many women we have? It's something personal.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
well, we were going to excuse Blessings for now, and we'll go straight into zooming the headlines. And on zooming the headlines, we'll look at 2 stories that will be played back to back. And that is the story for Cornelius Mweta, where he was justifying the fertilizer deal, as well as Mr. Bizwa Mutale, who was talking about an audit for the PF officials. We'll go into that.
It has nothing to do with any, shareholder in Alpha being a husband of any minister. And we also would like to encourage that Zambian companies doing business in Zambia will always be owned or have shares owned by Zambians. But that such companies are separate legal entities from its shareholders, and that we should stop the idea of dragging shareholders' identities into the operations of a company and begin to mislead the nation that there is something amiss here when there is totally nothing. As a matter of reality, the Patriotic Front should be the last ones to comment on this issue. They must be ashamed that they were segregating half of a country in fertilizer distribution.
That have been happening in Patriotic Front, I have brought them before the President of the Republic of Zambia, then President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, now our PF President. I have brought it before him. I have raised concerns. I have raised the concerns to relevant authority within the party. I served as a National Mobilization Committee member. I have made sure that the message I preach to the people do coincide with the manifest of the Patriotic Front. Today I come to confirm the letters have been sent. The Auditor General, the letter has been delivered and they have confirmed that the letter has been received. Anti-Corruption Commissioner, they have confirmed that the letter has been received. Drug Enforcement Commission, the letter has been delivered and they have confirmed that the letter has been received. Zambia Revenue Authority, they have confirmed that the letter has been received. PF Secretariat, to the Deputy Secretary General, the letter has been delivered and he confirmed receipt of the letter. The letter has also been sent to our party president, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu.
Welcome back. You're watching Camnet Breakfast Show, and just now we have former Minister of Transport and Communications, who is also a long-term Member of Parliament, Mr. Mutotwe Kafaya, joining us in the studio to discuss various issues with regards to him as a Member of Parliament and as the Patriotic Front. Obviously, he is just a member of the Patriotic Front. He's a member of Parliament, of course, so he will delve into one or two things with regards to the Patriotic Front. Mr. Kafaya, is it Honorable Kafaya? Welcome to the interview. I always have difficulty in saying this honorable thing, you know, so I usually just say Mr. or Miss or Mrs. I hope it's okay with you.
Well, any of the two.
Any of the two,
Any of the two.
Okay.
Whatever is comfortable for you. But yes, thank you very much for welcoming me, and I'm very pleased to sit before you, two colleagues.
Thank you. Well, Honorable, in the past, what is trending is the issue of the nullification of your seat. I want just to know what sort of action have you taken, because we still saw you in the House.
Well, I think you saw my colleague Bowman. I wasn't in the House yesterday, although I should have been there, because we have filed, you know, the notice of appeal.
Okay.
I think I've been informed that acts as a stay, so I should have been in the House yesterday. Hopefully, this afternoon I'll be in the House.
In the House, okay.
Yes. Yes, so that's a process we have followed to appeal the judgment, so that the other people can look at it and make a final determination. Looking at the previous judgment, not delving into future issues, do you think it was on, how would you assess it in general? Do you welcome, was it fair, or do you think it had merit? Just your observation as the contestants who actually who was actually duly elected during the August elections. Well, thank you very much. I think that's an important question, and I should say that I ran a very fair campaign, very incident-free campaign, and I have a conscience. All of the people that I worked with are people with a conscience, but also we were not the only players. There were other players, isn't it? So those players also have their own conscience. This is why after my being duly elected, they opted to go to court and brought grounds which were looked at, and the court also has a conscience. The court consciously looked at what was submitted and made the decision in the manner it did. But because my conscience has not left me, I thought it was unfair. And I've also taken further action to go to seek, you know, a second opinion. So let's hear what the other people are going to say hereafter, and then we close the matter. Interesting. But this debate has also, your colleague in the PF have been of the view that you are being witch hunted by the ruling UPND so that they can have more seats. Do you also share that perception? Well, I think I do share that you know, perspective. I do think that UPND wants to diminish PF numbers. They want PF numbers to lower. The president, when he was campaigning in Eastern Province, President Hakainde Hichilema, he said PF is dead. You understand? But at that time we were 59 in Parliament.
Now, how could a political party with 59 members of parliament be regarded as dead? What does that mean? Okay, so clearly maybe it's a justification of the fact that PF is dead in the minds of some, including His Excellency the President. But truth be told, PF is alive, PF is strong, PF is doing its best to continue making a contribution to the Zambian people. This is why it was formed. PF is a movement for people. It's not a movement for one person. It's not a movement for a family. It's not a movement for people with ego or without. It's a movement of all the Zambians put together who believe in the philosophy or political grounding that the many poor people that we have should have their lives uplifted. Yeah.
But what you, our viewers out there, can also call in and ask Mr. Mutotwe Kafwaya your questions, and you get those answers that you feel need to be gotten from a Patriotic Front member. Yeah. Patrick, you were about to ask something.
Yes, I wanted to know what his views are regarding the rebranding process of the PF. What is your suggestion on how you should go about it as a party? Because others have come up with different concepts altogether. Yes. So I want to get it from you as a member of the party. What is your thought on that?
What are you planning as a party?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
How are you rebranding?
How are we rebranding?
Exactly.
Listen, PF has to rebrand. There's no question about that. And by rebranding, I mean PF needs to restructure. PF needs to, resource itself differently and be able to move forward. We need to consider the times we are living in. We need to consider the priorities of our time and be able to focus on those priorities. As we rebrand, we resource PF in a manner that makes it capable to respond to the issues of our time in a much more effective way. So there's no question we have to rebrand. But what is a process? I think now more than ever we need dialogue. Now more than ever we need even to have more strict structures of dialogue
amongst your party members?
Amongst ourselves as PF. And we need to follow ourselves by speaking to ourselves in a much more civil manner, in a much more structured manner than ever before, and come up with a process, that is acceptable, a process that is supported by many. And since we still have President Lungu as our...
While you're on that, let's just speak that one. What on your thoughts, sir?
Hello, good morning. Good morning, you're through to the Camnet Breakfast. Hello, good morning. Wow, the line is pretty bad.
The line is bad.
It's pretty bad.
So you were...
Yes, I was just about to say, since we still have President Edgar Lungu as our leader, I think that until he is replaced, this is now time to draw from him as much as we can in terms of his wisdom. President Lungu sat as our party president and as our Republican president. He has understood a lot of things from which we can benefit as a membership. And I do think that this is time to draw as much as we can, because in the moment President Lungu transitions into a former leader of PF, it becomes difficult. Now we have a new leader, so many people will be flocking to that new leader who has not been a PF president before, who has not been a Republican president before. So this is time now to listen more to what President Lungu, says. And I took time to listen to his speech, which he delivered at the mausoleum when we were remembering Michael Sata. Those words must always ring in our heads.
There are some names that have popped up regarding the presidential race, Mr. Kafwaya, where we've seen the likes of Bizwa Mutale. We've also seen Chishimba Kambwiri during the funeral. Yes. The people saying they have endorsing him. Yes. We also have other names that have been floated like GBM, let's say Mundubile. But do you have a preference amongst those names that popping up.
Well, are you backing?
Do I have a preference?
Yes.
Yeah. You see, I've been privileged to serve under President Lungu, not just as an MP or a minister, but I've also had a fair personal relationship with President Lungu. And I can tell you that I've sat with him on a one-to-one, listened to him. I've learned many things from President Lungu. And when it comes to leadership, President Lungu told me once or twice that for a leader, political leadership is different from technocratic leadership. Okay? You see, in technocratic leadership, you are assessed by your superiors and they promote you, they give you a position. But for political leadership, you are assessed by your followers. Okay? And your followers give you the position. So instead of one individual like myself to prefer you or her, it is for our followers to prefer a candidate. So we have to listen more from what the people are saying. And also, who are those people? Because sometimes people are created to make a particular noise. So you have to follow what people are saying. Let the people come out and say, that is our leader. And then we rally behind that leader who has been preferred by the general membership. Do you know, if we do that, it becomes a lot easier for us to promote that person even beyond, the boundaries of our political.
Okay, let's try and take this call.
All right.
Hello, good morning. You're through to the breakfast show. Kindly tell us your name and your contribution.
Okay, my name is Moses Mwanga. I'm calling from Kitwe.
All right.
Okay, good morning, Honorable. Good morning, panel.
Good morning, Mr. Mwamba. Thank you.
Okay. I was just listening to the Honorable. I am one of them who would want to see the peer be a successful opposition party. But I think, like all politicians, the peers might be making the same mistake. We have a short political course or memory in Zambia. We repeat the same mistakes. And I would want peers to come out of it so that we can hold the UPND on issues that they really need accounts. I'll give you an example on one issue I'm scared of. It's the mind. And we are busy squabbling about these other things and not talking about issues. The mines are making more money. Even if you have to let them make all the taxes, they get free tax. But their businesses come in Zambia and make more money out of the mines more than Zambia. And that has been the case from Kaunda, from MMG, from PF. And we supported PF because of the change. And now there's UPND. And UPND is almost taking that course because they have removed the minimum royalty tax. So those are the issues that we expect the PF to come alive to.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you guys are talking about other things that are not going to actually help the Zambians. But here is what I hope that the PF will do in your rebranding process. This is the first thing you should do if you are going to avoid how unity dies. So if your enemy says that you are going to die, don't just dismiss it. Look at how all the other political parties have died. Look at how unity has died. Look at how MMG has died. And PF is in the same spot. Only please don't repeat the same political mistakes your fellow parties have made. Now look at the public perception of the PF. The PF should not deny how the public perceived them. The public perceived you that you were arrogant, you were corrupt, and you are not democratic, and that you did not put the interests of the people at heart. This is how the public perceived you. And the only thing I'm going to use is how you lost the elections. It was a resounding victory. So this public perception is real. And I'm glad that in your own admission, you admitted in your rebranding, it's now in your written document. You agreed that you are hooligan.
Kindly wind up.
And you are violent.
Kindly wind up.
And the reason why we have these by-elections on. It is because of these things I've said. The PF was simply corrupt. It was very, very arrogant. It was very violent. And they did not want to hit to any electoral laws.
All right.
And there are some issues there.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's confusing enough of it.
Yes.
So
Just to re-echo, I think yesterday we had a story where Bowman Lusambo was actually admitting to some of the things to say, okay, we need to work on these things. We acknowledge, obviously, the party has taken enough introspection and still taking with regards to the rebranding process. Maybe just
so you can add. He talks about the mines. He also talked about the public perception, which he said you needed to work on.
Yes, I followed him very keenly, actually, and I do think that he raised very important issues, some of them very accurate, others not so accurate, but it's the understanding. UPND has not removed the mineral royalty tax. Okay, the mineral royalty tax still remains, but what UPND has done is to remove it as a deductible for tax purposes. Okay, that means that when mines pay mineral royalty tax, that expense will now become a deductible for tax purposes, meaning that the tax will be reduced. Okay, because if an expense is not deductible, then a firm makes a much higher tax profit, and you get a little more on taxes, on corporate taxes. So for us in PF, we objected to that. I think our debates, even in Parliament, are very clear. We want that mineral right to remain as it was, as PF left it. That's a position. So clearly, when it comes to mineral royalty tax, we are on the same page with our caller. Okay. Then when it comes to the perception that we were corrupt, we were arrogant, we were all these bad things, it's very well documented. Okay. It's very well documented. We occupied the position of leadership, and I think for many of us, in the Patriotic Front, we did our very best to save the Zambian people. But in the process of saving people, sometimes you don't get the clarity that you need, and you fall into these traps of incumbency, arrogance, because you are holding the position and you are up there. Even your own friends who should be telling you the things that they should tell you are shunning, to tell you. They come to you, tell you things which are not very helpful. But my sense is that we are now no longer in power. UPND is in power. So these things are even more important to UPND than they may be to PF. Because for us now, we are interacting with the people who were previously avoiding us because we were rolling flags.
Because you were arrogant. Because you were
said by Moses. But we understand it's a general term, but does not. I know not everyone could fall into that description. Right. Yes,
of course. But when you listen to even our colleagues when they were in opposition, and I used to contend, many of our friends were contending. They would say PF is. You understand? Yeah. But who is PF? It's a general membership. Yeah, exactly. Many PF members, they are now called the 1.8.
Yes.
How many ministers were in the 1.8? Okay. Of course, my vote is in there. Yes. But how many of us were ministers? How many of us were members of parliament? How many members of parliament who were not ministers? You understand? How many? So it's a big problem, and we have also to look at the way we project information, because when you dent a political party in the manner PF was being dented, across the board, it's about our country. PF is not in power anymore. It's not in power anymore.
And talking about the same issue, Mr. Mutare suggesting an audit. And are you open to that PF officials should be audited? Just your thought on that. We spoke to Mr. Lusambo, who actually objected to that. But before that, we'll take this call.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Mandoli calling you from Osaka.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning, Honorable Kafwai.
Good morning to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think for starters, my contribution will be first of all to appreciate the fact that the former ruling party been able to come up with that report and acknowledge their flaws, their mistakes during their tenure in government. I think that is a very fundamental starting point. And I wish to encourage all those, including your guest, Honorable Kafwai, and the rest of the PF leadership, to begin to walk through those acknowledgements and begin to make amends that will ensure that they do not walk through that path anymore. I think that it's common knowledge that most of us realize the fact that this human nature sometimes overrides our sense of reasoning when we're in a place of influence and in a place of power. But I want to really encourage, the Patriotic Front, because, this is an administration that has some of the prominent, Christian leaders at the highest level of leadership. And yet we saw some of the worst things that were happening, especially the behavior of the cadres at the lower level. Of course, we even saw that maybe at some of the senior levels, but at the lower level, it was so rampant to a point that, like many other people, have already contributed, so I don't want to really go that route. Yeah. So, mine would be that going forward, I think that there is a need, not only for the leadership to do their part in terms of trying to rebrand at the leadership level, but also trying to get to the bottom. The grassroots is very, very important, because these are the people that, organize the party, through the structures at the work level and all that. It's important to begin to also assimilate the message of rebranding, so that, if ever God grants them an opportunity, because, we are not the masters, we are not the destiny determinants, but if ever they have that opportunity, this thing should have been, sunk into the membership of the party, so that we have, an opposition political party, and even if ever given a time to come back and govern, there will be, a force to reckon with. A party that people can trust, a party that people can embrace. So this will be my passionate appeal, that they get the message also to the lower ranks of their membership. All right. It's very, very important, because, what has happened, I think, in the last 10-7 years, it's still fresh in the minds of the people. So they need to begin to echo that message so often. And it should not just be lip service, it must be seen also in their practical way of doing things. Thank you so very much for allowing me to contribute. God bless you.
Thank you so much for calling. Yeah, indeed.
Very important views. Very important views actually coming through. When it comes to cadreism, I think I'm one of those people who regret very strongly the fact that we let down President Lungu. It is me, Honorable Stephen Kampiong and Honorable Charles Banda, who were specifically instructed by President Lungu to end cadreism. And I think I am deeply sorry to President Lungu that we could not carry out his instruction as we should have. Because today we could be talking about something very different. And you see, we contributed to the creation of perception. Because the man at the top, President Lungu, didn't want cadreism at all. And I can tell you that if you ask Honorable Kampiongo, if you ask Honorable Charles Banda, they will both tell you that yes, the three of us were given strict instructions. We began, these campaigns, but we didn't do much. And I'm deeply sorry to the former president for that. I certainly regret. But he also says the outcome of that, that post-mortem should be lived. Yeah. We should begin to live those important outcomes and begin to rebrand, bottom up. and top down. All of us should begin to think we need to create a patriotic front, that responds to the people and responds to our time. So clearly, I agree with what the caller has said, and there's really nothing to add but to say that we should do our best, to adhere to our own recommendations in that important report.
Just a quick one before we pick that call. He was asking about Mr. Mtali's call for lifestyle audits, especially for those that served in ministerial positions and their allies. So what's your comment on that?
Well, while I don't really object, I think it's too limited. Exactly. I think it's too limited. I have no problem for anybody to assess my lifestyle. Okay, I have no problem with that. But I do think that targeting a former PF leader is too limited, because right now we are hearing there are roads being constructed towards some farms of individuals. We are hearing there are people who are having more money than they've ever had in their lives right now, who are serving as ministers. We are hearing those things. So when UPND is out of power, then we'll be saying audit UPND. Okay, when another leadership comes in and they're out of power, you'll be saying audit these ones. I think it's too limited. We need to create structures that respond to issues. All of these things need to be clear. And when UPND comes out of power, there's no need for ACC to become excited. Exactly. There's no need for DEC to become excited. DEC, ACC, and all others must continue operating as normally as possible. So strengthen ACC, strengthen DEC, strengthen all these institutions so that they develop capacity to have in their minds that they will continue beyond the current leadership. For me, I think, yes, any Zambian should be audited, but there has to be suspicion. If you want to come to my place and begin to assess how I live, you've got to have suspicion. You can't just say all former leaders of PF. That's too narrow. It's too partisan. It's something I really can't fully support. But for audit of any Zambians, including former leaders, it's not a problem for me.
Right, you're watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, and in the studio we have Mr. Mutotwe Kafwaya, who is long-term Member of Parliament and former Transport and Communications Minister. Just now we take a short breather. When we return, we continue with the conversation.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
All right, welcome back. We continue with the conversation here with Mutotwe Kafwaya. Patrick?
Exactly. Well, before we end, we discussed the aspect of auditing, and Mr. Kafwaya gave us his perspective on that. And looking at the previously, when he served as Transport and Communications Minister, he was keen on the aspect of reviving the Zambia Airways. And we heard last week, it should be this week, where they said the inaugural flight will commence by 1st December. So, but I want to find out, the UPND administration says they inherited empty coffers, and this project was also said to be a project that would affect the national treasury in terms of it is not necessary to spend on that, according to critics by then when you were in government. So I want to find out, what are you assessing this? How is your assessment on this project, and should this administration continue with it?
At the same time, just to add on his topic, I think I saw one of the stories in some tabloid that we have here in Zambia. You said, I think that was 2 weeks ago, you said you're not fully aware of this. I'm not sure if they quoted you right, of the whole process of the Zambia Airways. Like, the headline was screaming to say Kafwaya expresses ignorance.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes.
I saw that. You see, here is the thing. For UPND, and I'm speaking as me, you know, sometimes because I'm in the opposition, everything that I would say is regarded as the opposition. For the UPND, I think that it's a bit surprising that they have continued on the path that they, you know, vehemently, you know, opposed. I'll give you an example. Today we still have the presidential jet. It has not been sold. And not too long ago, we were seeing students marching to State House to see the president over some allowances which were promised that once the presidential jet is sold, they will be kept in school, they will be given those meal allowances. You understand? Exactly. But the presidential jet is still packed. For the Zambia Airways, you have a situation where it was opposed on radio stations, on TV stations, in parliament and everywhere. But there you go, inaugural flight this December. I have to congratulate the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Finance for making that a reality, because I think as a country we need that. It is UPND who did not want that when they were in opposition, but ironically it will be UPND administration who are going to, you know, to have that. So for me, I would congratulate the Zambian people for achieving that, because it's important for the Zambian people. It was important when I was minister, it is as important now. The only problem is the people who rejected it are the ones who are going to effect it. That's where they should be scrutinized for the things they were saying when they were in opposition. And this is why, for me, as an opposition leader, I will speak my conscience. Okay, I will speak the things that are true, the things that I am convinced are important. So I'll congratulate them. It's very, very important for the Zambian people, but only bad for what they were saying, because they have U-turned the same way they U-turned on jobs, because we heard that jobs don't come from rocks. You have to feed the cow, and that feed will be converted into milk. That's when you start milking. You understand? So those are issues.
Okay.
Those are issues.
Okay, so away from the government portfolio that you held, you're still a member of parliament, and your constituency's development is dependent on the Constituency Development Fund. It was recently increased in the 2022 national budget. Your comment and view on that?
No, actually that's not correct. And I'm sorry about that. The development of my constituency does not depend on CDF, on Constituency Development Fund. It depends on government programs. Okay, the government must take development to my constituency.
With the main share being the 1.6 previously?
No, that 1.6 could not build a road, it could not build a clinic, it could not build a school, it could not employ teachers, it could not pay anyone, but it was just helping the MP to deal with those small emergent
okay, well, just hold your thought. Just hold your thought. Good morning. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm Thomas Bambo. I'm
calling from?
Mosolera.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
The unfortunate thing is to hear that this constitution is otherwise one of people
avoid that one of those people are going to I've never known him personally. I've said a lot of it. And I thought of the future with him. And then one of the government or the rest especially not every day, but it will stop it happening. You see people paying $100.
It's very difficult.
The line is not so clear. Maybe just
can you kindly hold your phone properly? We can hardly hear you. Hello?
Okay, so the line was pretty bad, but one thing that came out, what I got was you're one of the few that we are doing good, and it's unfortunate that the seat was nullified. Obviously, we've spoken about that when we were just opening. Maybe you can just pick it up from where your thought was.
On the CDF allocation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other part of the question, which I didn't tackle, where I was quoted in the newspaper, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yes, and thanks for those views from somebody who saw, something we were trying to do for the people to have been positive. But yes, generally, I heard your government was a disappointment, or your party. It was, and we agree. The president tendered his apology on that day. I'm sure you saw that.
Yes.
We can't help but to say sorry where we were short, isn't it? But as we say sorry, we also remind the people that while all these weaknesses can be highlighted, there's several things that you will continue to see for many years to come, which were planted in this country by the leadership of the Patriotic Front, which we all should be proud of. Yeah. I was just saying CDF is not there to develop my constituency. It's not the only vehicle. In fact, that is a very insignificant vehicle to develop a constituency. But the government generally was developing our constituencies. In my own constituencies, there were clinics built, there were towers erected, there were gravel roads, created, and schools expanded. And infrastructure constructed, and that didn't happen because of CDF. It happened because of the government generally. So that's what it is. Then coming to that issue of me having been ignorant about what was happening at Zambia Airways, I was very clear. I was the Minister of Transport and Communications. What was my role in that process? My role was to enable the political and economic environment for Zambia Airways to be able to operate. This is why we were able to do the Cape Town Convention. This is why we were able to do the Yamoussoukro Convention, and we did everything legally that was required for that airline to operate. Okay, a minister is there for policy. Yeah. The minister is not there for implementation of programs or even getting involved in what is happening. So if you if Zambia Airways bought an aircraft, for example, it is not in my interest to understand where they are buying the aircraft, when it's coming. It's not in my interest to create a timetable for Zambia Airways. It is in my interest to make sure that the day that Zambia Airways wants to fly, they should be able to fly because I have provided the legal framework, and all of that. So we did that, we finished it, and we gave the AOC certificate to the airline to be able to operate. Yeah. So one thing I should also state very clearly is that Zambia Airways belonged to two companies, IDC and Ethiopian Airlines, isn't it?
Yes.
And I'm not Ethiopian.
You are Zambian.
Yes, but an IDC as an institution falls under the Ministry of Finance. It doesn't fall under the Ministry of Transport and Communications. You understand? Yeah. So it's improper to think of the Minister of Transport as the one, presiding or superintending over transactions happening at IDC. So that's what I was saying. For those nitty-gritty, for those specific transactions, they were far off. They were far away. But ask me about policy. Ask me about enabling the environment. We did everything. We took those things, those requirements to cabinet, and eventually took them to parliament, and they went through. And we are happy to this coming month, Zambia Airways should be able to fly. Okay. Congratulations.
I think you didn't respond to the 25.7 million.
How are you going to use it in Lunte?
Well, I honestly, because right now the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development are still developing guidelines, you understand? So even for people who are saying it should be used this way, that way, and so on, let's wait for guidelines. Okay, it's unfortunate that we have been given a figure prior to creating the structure which is necessary for the application, and no politicking there. There's no politicking there. Zambia Airways, we did we did the Cape Town Convention, we did the Yamoussoukro, we gave them the AOC. We created the legal basis for them to operate. I left that ministry, all of that having been done, okay, by ourselves. So the CDF has been expanded from 1.6 to 25.7 million kwacha, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the ministry is now creating the framework. So I'm deeply sorry, that's not how I'll do my things. I will start with what is required for that resource to properly be used. And here we are. You are asking me how I'm going to use it. I don't know, because the ministry has not yet produced how that things are supposed to be applied. But I don't know if anybody knows.
But what are the priorities for Lunte based on your assessment?
The priorities for Lunte, I think, have to do with farming, because that's a typical rural constituency which is blessed with abundant rainfall in most cases. So creation of feeder roads or improvement of feeder roads, and also crossing points, that's a priority. Crossing points so as to enable the movement of both inputs and produce easily to and from. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, in case you want to also contribute to the program, you can dial the numbers scrolling on your screens so that you can engage our guest, Mr. Kafwaya. Well, and just proceeding with our discussion, I also want to pick your thoughts regarding how you think the UPND administration took off in time when they just when President HH was given the instruments of power. Do you think they have lived to their expectations?
It's a little too early though, but
this is 3 months
enough to give you basic assessment.
No, well, here is the thing. 10 hours were sworn in, 14 hours. The kwacha begins to appreciate.
Exactly.
Now, before President Lungu was removed from office, when he was there, the kwacha began to go down. And after that sworn-in day, the kwacha began to go up. So that's definitely the opposite of what was being promised. Okay? We are sworn in at 10 hours. We are selling that presidential jet to keep you in school. A week later, demonstrations for meal allowances, which should have come from the sale of the presidential jet. A month later, the national budget address is presented to the House. You are expecting a line of revenue that is going to come from the sale of the presidential jet. There's nothing. Moratorium on debt. Stop borrowing. PF, stop borrowing. Okay, this is what we are saying, because your economy is choked with debt. In your first budget, 72 billion kwacha to be borrowed. In your before even that budget comes, we are borrowing money to construct schools in 3 provinces which were neglected by PF. You understand? Northwestern, Western, and Southern province.
But don't you think this is on merit?
It is on merit if you don't know the Kazungula Bridge, if you have no idea what the Livingstone, Kalomo, not Kalomo, the Zimba Road was and what it is now. If you don't know anything about the Kalomo Dundumwezi Tej Road, if you have no idea about the Mongo Kalabo Road and the Sioma Senanga Nalolo into Mongo Road, if you have got nothing, you have no idea about the Chingola Sorwezi Road and all the township roads, if you really don't know that actually, when Northwestern Province was on, on fuel, the diesel energy in most of the districts, but now it's on the grid. If you don't know all those, you will be saying that's on merit. If you didn't see us commissioning telecommunication towers everywhere, including in Imusho, in Kalabo, in Chama, and everywhere, I also commissioned 2 in Lunte. You understand? If you didn't see that, you can say that's on merit. Now, in Northern Province, where I come from, did not get all the districts on grid, you understand? But Northern Province got some clinics. So if I look at what was happening in the Ministry of Health, somebody will say, oh, you got some clinics. Yes. And then you go to another place which didn't get clinics, but got connected to the grid. You cannot say that you developed this part over the other. I think, and that is my contention. That is aimed at dividing people.
But in the same vein, Honorable, the question comes is that the project you are mentioning, for example, yes, the tower project, yes, let's say, and the road construction, yes, they also came as a result of debt. And the debt issue is also part of the reasons why people feel the PF was arrogant, because the PF was warned against over borrowing. But according to the records, as a country, we seem to have borrowed a lot than we needed to. And now this borrowing is choking the economy. Hence that the new administration has no option but to suspend part of the debt payment, then also seek more borrowing to keep the economy afloat. So, what's your take on that?
PF does not have the capacity to run the country. We have a team. Okay? We have a team. That's UPND speaking in opposition. We have a team that is going to restructure this economy, that is going to stop borrowing, that is going to ensure that we pay these debts and we promote our economy and make it better. Okay? They are in there. What is the first thing? The exact thing they were opposing, debt. So, debt, listen to me, my friend. The way I see debt, yes, I see it as a negative number, and I say so because I'm an accountant. Debt is a negative number. It will forever be a negative number on the balance sheet, on what we used to call a balance sheet. But what are the underlying assets? And how are those assets helping you to stimulate the economy? You understand?
Exactly.
You can't just look at one side of the financial position. You have to look at the positive side. Are you happy when you walk into UTH, when you compare it to what it was before? Are you happy when you walk into Levy? Are you happy when you walk into the clinic at Muyembe, where I come from? Are you happy if you see all of those things? How are those things helping the Zambian people to save money, and that money apply it to other important economic activities, and in the process stimulating the economy? So it's very, very important to be balanced in the manner you look at these matters. For me, I would say let the UPND be given a chance to run the country in the way they know best. But the problem is they are doing the exact opposite of what they were promising. And you know, some of the people voted for UPND because UPND was saying no more debt.
Yeah.
Okay, no more debt. Some of the people voted for UPND because UPND was saying as soon as we are sworn in, the presidential jet is gone. Okay, but the presidential jet is there. They are now borrowing more in a year than PF ever borrowed. You understand?
Does this mean that politicians are not to be trusted? Does it justify the call or the saying by people, members of the public, that, you know, you can't trust a politician? You know, they'll only say this, they'll promise, but once they get the mantle of power, they forget about it. Because basically what you've explained is justifying what the members of the public say with regards to politicians. Just under a minute.
Thank you. Before President Lungu was sworn in, after winning 2016, we were in a church, United Church of Zambia, where he challenged the church to produce members of parliament, to give him people to join the political arena, because this arena is regarded as dirty by many people. But the truth is, the arena is not dirty, it is the players who are dirty. But in order to get rid of dirty players and bring in clean players, the church should produce members of parliament, councillors, and all of these people, so that we begin to clean off some of the bad.
In conclusion?
Other than thanking you for for inviting me, I would like to thank those people who came through. I think this is how it should be. It's very important to interact with people on a continuous basis. And also to just say that let's keep our heads up. Even people like me who sits nullified, keep your head up and look ahead. I think God is still on the throne. He should guide us through all these difficulties, and one day we'll get a better country.
Thank you. Well, we would like to thank you for finding time to be part of the program. And this is the time where we have to say our bye-byes. Until next time, when we'll come with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast. This has been Patrick Soko and...
My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good morning.